Good morning, I'm Raine Musñgi and welcome to Follow the Money. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey. Blockchain technology is at the forefront of a global digital revolution, and the Philippines is emerging as a key player. Today on Follow the Money, we dive into the future of blockchain. Joining us is Donald Lim, founder of the Blockchain Council in the Philippines, to explore how this technology is shaping financial landscapes, driving innovation, and redefining trust in the digital age. Donald Lim, thank you so much for joining us today. There's a lot of mystery and confusion surrounding blockchain. Can you share with us how blockchain is used in present day and what is the trajectory for blockchain?
Well, blockchain is one of the best kept secrets, I would say. It has been there since 2009. Satoshi Nakamoto, who is the founder of Bitcoin, was the one who created what is called the principle of a decentralized ledger. Right? So it used to be just a financial transaction between two people, not using what is a centralized system like a bank. And it means that when I give you a Bitcoin and I give it to you, it's encrypted, it's documented in a system. So it's on a ledger, but it's decentralized, meaning it's saved across multiple what is called servers or nodes. And that system was actually brought forward. So before, note that we are now in the age of what is called Web 3. Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. If you look at when the internet started, it's called Web 1. It's called the read-write web. No? So initially it's just read. So it's a website, you read something, that's it. That was late 1990s, early 2000. That's the age of Web 1. Web 2 is read and write. So you can, age of social media, you read, but you can write on it. You can post a video, post a tweet, or you can post a picture on social media. That's Web 2. So read, write. Web 3 is read, write, trust. Right? Read, write, trust, which means Web 3 means that they're removing the power from what is called the centralized systems, whether it is, again, that's why blockchain is a very controversial topic, because it removes the power from centralized systems like governments, banks, and bigger institutions to what is called peer-to-peer. So if you are part of that blockchain, right, then all of us gets a record of a transaction. So it is now saved in each of our computers, and blockchain use cases have been multiplying for the past many years. So imagine, for example, again, it's any form of transaction. So the number one use case would be like land titles. In the Philippines, if you buy a land in the province, you wouldn't know if the land title is real or not. But in blockchain, you can have what is called provenance, where you know who is the first owner, and every time it changes hands, you will be able to see it. The land title is not a piece of paper anymore, but on a QR code that is verified across multiple, verified and saved. That information is saved across multiple nodes or servers, as you say. And again, we're going to see that use case across, for example, identities, national IDs can be put on the blockchain. So now you cannot cheat that system. Or, for example, senior citizens ID, right? People can say, okay, you can go to a city hall and say, change my birth certificate, or just get that senior, so I can get a senior ID. But now you can't. If every record is on the blockchain, then it's going to be extremely, extremely hard, close to impossible to cheat the system, because you have to change everything altogether. And it is saved. It is on a QR, anyone can access it, right? But of course, that doesn't mean you can see it. It can be encrypted, but you know the real score, the real story behind each transaction, or like, for example, if it's a personal information, you know when is it imputed, when you were born, and any transaction that follows, it is just saved and saved and saved there.
And of course, what I'm hearing right now is trust and authenticity are exactly the currency that's being traded in blockchain.
Correct.
And it's no surprise that it's being used in financial technology among banks and governments. And if that's the case right now, what is the future for blockchain technology? What are the most important, perhaps, applications of this technology?
What we're seeing is that almost every industry will be affected by blockchain. It's a natural progression. I think with the internet, before, I think 10 years ago, we talked about cloud. What is cloud? Cloud is like you, instead of saving it in your CPU or server, it goes somewhere up to the cloud, literally, right? And now we have become very comfortable with it. Like we save it in a Google Cloud. We save in any cloud, and you know it's up there, and anytime you want it, you can retrieve it. So imagine that you are now saving it in multiple clouds, so that even if one cloud, someone wants to change it, you have to change all. And therefore, following that principle, you can even see, and you can actually check this out online, some voting, for example, the elections coming up, you can use blockchain voting, which means that if you vote, every time I cast my ballot and I put it there, it goes inside the machine, technically who decides the election, whatever the machine says. But now, if you put your vote inside, it is saved across multiple systems. So it is very hard to cheat that system. So all the way from elections to from land titles to verification of records. For example, when we go abroad, we would show our certificate, and they would say, is that real or is that a forged? On the blockchain, you can just show a QR, and they would say, okay, that is very real.
Right. Well, two things come to mind in this kind of discussion or train of thought. Does this mean that blockchain is scam-proof? That's number one. And second, does this mean that blockchain is expensive?
Blockchain is not scam-proof like anything else. So if anyone says it's scam-proof, but what it is still dependent on the person or the entity that is putting in the data. So you have to create a system so where the data input has to be secure. So then it is verifiable, right? So if the input of data is perfect, then it should be, in theory, scam-proof. Is it expensive? It's expensive to those who are doing what is called blockchain. There are many blockchains. No? So what happens is that, for example, our government is doing an e-gov chain. Technically, a Philippine blockchain. So the one who creates it, that would be expensive, but all of us will just ride on it. It's the same as if you ask me, mahal ba, is it expensive to create a Facebook? Facebook, of course, is expensive. The software, the creative, the UI, UX, but Facebook opened it up so that we can put our own profile. Before, if you want to create a game, you can put it using an API, create a game there for your brand or for your media outlet, and you can play. Same principle as blockchain. The chain is there, you can actually put your system inside. So expensive? No, it's very fast. Any of the examples I'm sharing with you, we can deploy. Anyone, not only me, can deploy it in less than a month, as long as you agree on what chain you will use. So what happens is that once it's done, it's easy to execute immediately.
So far we've been talking about government applications as well as big business applications, but what about as persons, as families or small businesses? Is there a blockchain technology for them?
So far, for me, I'm also very active in the DTI segment where we teach entrepreneurs, and what we would always tell them, the blockchain is a base technology, so they will be affected by it, but they won't feel it. And later on, an SME owner can go to their city hall and say that, can I get a business permit? And it should be very, very easy. The blockchain will be able to record the person's identity, at the same time the business, the history is, and they will say, okay, you're cleared, this is it, you can do this. Anyone who comes to the office and says you have no permit can just show, ito ang QR, everything is there. And it is saved on the blockchain, you cannot tamper.
But still, as a person, perhaps an organization, can you still protect not just your identity, but the sharing of your data across like different platforms or different organizations?
You can. So it's extremely secure. In fact, if you are an NFT, there's a non-fungible token. It's like a picture, and you save it. Even to access your what we call a Web3 wallet requires not only one password but 12 seed phrases. So imagine if you forget your password here, it's 12 words that you have to memorize. So it's very secure. Every time when I say you show your QR, you have to activate it. Right? So it's extremely secure, it's very encrypted, and that's why we're saying blockchain is the future. We're looking at 2025, going towards 2050, everything will start riding on this already.
You're president and founder
Yeah.
of the Blockchain Council of the Philippines. How big is the membership? How big is the community in blockchain in the country right now? Is there an integrated blockchain globally or regionally that you have to kind of coordinate with?
So the blockchain is anchored on the principle of it being decentralized. In fact, it is powered by the community. I remember when we started working and started establishing the Blockchain Council, we were being laughed at because they said, how can you centralize something that the very principle is decentralization? But we said, if you look at so many blockchain users, in blockchain you have what you call the NFT, the gamers. You have those who are the traders who use crypto, the tech people who is using blockchain to really tech-ize the country, the organization. So many groups, right? So we said you need a central unit so that there will be we can also aid in regulation. We can help bring people together and put each of the expertise together. So that's why we set it up. Now, currently we have around 100 members. Malaysia is 2,000 members. So we're very far. They're ahead since they've established themselves 2017, 18. So they're way ahead of us, but we're gaining a lot of traction. What is very different from us is that our Blockchain Council has the support of our DICT. I think from a perspective of governments, our government is the most open-minded. And therefore, in a way that if you Google, some of the countries do not allow blockchain. Because, again, the principle of decentralization, the government is not part of the transaction. If I, for example, have 1 Bitcoin, I sold you something and you pay 1 Bitcoin to me, no one knows. In the US, even some, they're saying, oh, I can sell you my house for 3 or 4 Bitcoin, that's it. Because that's already, 20 million pesos, right? Close to 20 million pesos.
Which is precisely your concept of decentralized and self-regulation.
That's right.
Suddenly comes to the fore, because how do you regulate an industry that cannot be regulated?
Exactly.
How does the government participate in that kind of setup when they don't know where it starts or ends?
Correct. And that's why it's important. I think if you can search for Joey Salceda's blockchain bill, that's a bill 8675, and they invited us to be part of the technical working group so that we can craft what is the rules of engagement when you do blockchain. Do note that life goes on whether we use blockchain or not. It's actually replacing the foundational layer of what is centralized to decentralize. So as a regular person, you will not feel it, but hopefully it makes your life better. It gives you, if you are getting your ID somewhere, if you need to go to a school and get your transcript of record, usually it'll take you a month. They will say, okay, come back after a month. Now everything is in theoretically, your Web3 wallet. Your Web3 wallet would have your identity, will have all your school records, will have all your medical records, will also have your assets. If you have an NFT painting, everything will be there in your single app, in your single Web3 wallet.
So one of the things I love about the applications of blockchain is its use in healthcare.
That's right.
One of my friends is actually using it for cancer research.
Yep.
How does that help the blockchain infrastructure? And if you can use it for very lasting purposes, how do you also prevent it being used in fraudulent or illicit
correct.
activities?
That's a good point. I think the healthcare is the one that is being pushed to go ahead and start the use of blockchain. For example, in the hospitals, one of the very first cyber attacks was in a hospital, and they were, ransomware we will remove all your patient records if you do not pay us this amount. And imagine that if everyone's in a hospital bed and you don't know which medicine to give. And some may be very critical. If you put every information of every patient in the blockchain, it seals it in terms of security. But also when it comes to research, as you can see, you can Google and you will see so many research here and there. Sometimes you don't know what is real.
Yeah.
Every single layer of what is authenticated information, if placed on the blockchain, now can aid further research if authenticated by what is called a peer body. As you know, in the medicine and even in the graduate school, we always say peer reviewed, right? If we all say this is okay, it's now placed in a central repository. Now that central repository will now be in a decentralized system, now in a bigger way, because it's now authenticated by a technology. Technically, all of us would have a server. We will now say yes, 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 yes. It is real and it is authentic.
Right. So you were saying that the Philippines is sort of lagging when it comes to blockchain technology, especially our membership is pretty minimal compared to other neighbors. But in which case, what would make the blockchain community here in the Philippines even more competitive moving forward? What kind of industries do they have to get into?
Our Philippines, while we are lagging in membership, we're not lagging in terms of the usage. We're, I think, top 5 in the world in terms of crypto wallet download. During the pandemic, we are the #1 users of Axie Infinity. So do you know how hard it is to create a MetaMask wallet, a Web3 wallet? It took me a day. Whereas it took one of my students less than 10 minutes to do that. You're seeing already that we have one of the youngest population. And what is very important is that the government is really supporting this also. The use of blockchain, not about passing a bill, it's not about that. It's the open-mindedness to start and discuss something that's not too comfortable talking about. Decentralization, how do we allow Bitcoin to be transacted? How do we monitor? Because technically, a Bitcoin transaction, you don't know. The blockchain, the government will not know the flow of versus the flow of regular money, the flow of crypto. They will not be able to access. No. So, having those difficult discussions, but very pragmatic discussions, puts us at the forefront. Because what we used to learn from our Asian neighbors, maybe they're better in having an organization, but our government, our private sector and everyone else is very open and saying, let's go for it. But we have to, maybe, whatever we come up with can be the benchmark for other countries to follow.
Looking at the Philippines and everything that it needs, let's say in healthcare and education and other industries, where would you like to see blockchain used the most? Hopefully not in gaming.
No, not in gaming. Definitely, it's going to be, I hope, we're talking to a lot of LGUs. So it's really identity, not only as a person, but businesses, that's one. Second, we hope schools will also use that as records for certificates and everything. I think we talk about land titles. So again, anything that needs to be recorded can be placed on the blockchain. If we are able to do that, and you don't need a lot of government guideline or intervention. You're just moving from a Web 2 system on the cloud, on a server, to now on multiple nodes. You're putting on a blockchain. You don't need a lot of government regulation on that. So once you are able to do that, then we would start to become one of the benchmarks already of how it should be done in what is called now a Web 3 world. It's a natural progression. Web 1, website. Web 2, social media and cloud. Now, Web 3. And that's anchored on blockchain.
Would you be able to tell us how much usage you're actually seeing of blockchain here in the Philippines and how much you're actually foreseeing or your outlook in terms of usage in the next couple of years, maybe up to 2030 or 2050?
I would assume that today we're no more than 1%. So it's very early stages, very nascent stages. We're just driving the discussions right now. I think for me, even personally, it took me 7 years to understand what it is, because it's very anti-Web 2. It's very anti-centralization. Someone should be of authority to just tell us what to do. Now decentralized, the real power to the people. That's why I feel that Web 3 is very Filipino. Democracy, power to the people. Now everyone has an equal power, has an equal say when it comes to blockchain.
Right. Now, as a pioneer in the blockchain space, is there a particular inspiration or movement or a particular event that inspire you to champion blockchain in the Philippines?
Actually, there are many blockchain weeks around the world. And that's why we are the ones also who started what is called the Philippine Blockchain Week. We also have a global blockchain conference that is pushed by and organized, co-organized by the DICT. That's happening this September. So again, we're going to talk about blockchain again and again and again. And hopefully, I would always say, before we were the text capital of the world, we became the social media capital of the world. I think there is a chance we can become a blockchain capital of the world. But because of youngest population, top crypto downloads, we have also a very tech-savvy Web3 developer base, and we have a very open government supporting it.
By what year would you like to see that happen?
I hope before 2030. I hope by 2028, it's going to be a wild and woolly race towards earning that crown, and I think we can, make it happen.
Well, as blockchain continues to evolve, it's clear that its potential to reshape economies and societies is just beginning to unfold in our country. To fully harness blockchain's potential, we must foster collaboration and adopt our regulatory frameworks to support its transformative capabilities. Thank you so much, Donald Lim, founder of the Blockchain Council of the Philippines, for clarifying for us the potential of blockchain. And before we go, we leave you with this quote from former IBM CEO Ginni Rometty. Blockchain is a technology that will power the next generation of innovation and disrupt countless industries. And that is it for today's edition of Follow the Money. I'm Raine Musñgi. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionaire News channel, always on top.